Here with Derek Rackley. He'll be on the Big Ten Pulse at 6:30 Eastern tonight. Rack, I assume you'll be talking about the big Michigan-Notre Dame game.
Yep.
During your career at Minnesota, was there any game that kind of came down to the last second, a thrilling finish like that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll never forget. Probably the best game I've ever played in, and I was fortunate enough to play 8 years in the NFL as well. But November 6th, 1999, when I was at Minnesota, we traveled out to Happy Valley and faced the Penn State Nittany Lions. They were number 2 in the country right now. And for those that remember, this was the same team that had Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington on the defense, 2 of probably the most daunting college football players of that decade. And that was my second time out there. We should have beat them the first time we came out there a couple of years ago, but we lost. And we came back out there, played a great game, beautiful day, packed stadium, was loud. And, of course, I was the long snapper, and it came down to the end of the game. And Dan Nystrom, who was our kicker at the time, kicked the field goal to win the game, upset the number 2 team in the country, and that place was just silent. It was just floored. They couldn't believe. I mean, this is the same team, the Penn State team, that was talking about national championship hopes, and lowly old Minnesota came in there and beat them.
Well, last week we talked about A.J. Jenkins being the best wide receiver, and B.J. Cunningham is now the leading receiver in Michigan State history. I believe you guys will be talking to him on the Pulse.
Yep.
Where do you stand on who's the best this week?
Well, I think you got to put B.J. Cunningham in that discussion. Some of the other names we talked about, of course, A.J. Jenkins, Marvin McNutt at Iowa. And I think another name you've got to throw in there, even though we haven't seen him or won't for a couple more weeks, is DeVere Posey at Ohio State. I watched him back in the spring. He's just got so much savvy as a wide receiver, runs great routes, obviously has a lot of confidence, doesn't drop many balls. So in my opinion, those guys would probably be at the top right now, but I don't know if I could pick the best one right now. I think in other years you could look at the Big Ten and say, yes, there's one guy. Another one I'll throw in there, just not to forget, is Nick Toon in Wisconsin. He's another really good wide receiver as well. Obviously, Wisconsin runs the football a lot more, so you don't get as many chances to see him. There's some really good ones, but after 2 weeks of football, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to pick the best one in the conference yet.
Okay, you can catch Rack, Doyle, and Rick Pizzo at 6:30 tonight.
Be sure to tune in.